Hello everyone, welcome to the show. It's very exciting because today we have a returning guest, Arthur Green. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
Well, thank you, Nancy, for welcoming me to your show.
I know you're busy because you're campaigning right now, correct?
Oh, very much so, yes.
So I doubly appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, well, it's always a pleasure to come and talk to you.
Good. So now today we're going to talk about not politics, correct?
That's right.
Tell everybody what you're going to be talking about.
We're going to talk about recycling, and we're going to talk about the history of my family and how I come from a recycling family. Back in the 1960s, when they took the railroad out, they dumped all the railroad ties over the bank. So we had 3 chokers, and we pulled all the railroad ties out of the Kettle Valley, or out of the Coquihalla Valley, actually.
Right.
You can find those railroad today on the north bank of South Burnaby on the Fraser River. They used them for shoring.
Nice. So, but why did you decide, or your dad, why did you decide to recycle them to begin with?
Well, because they're worth money.
Okay.
And though they're kind of tabooed nowadays because of the amount of tar that and creosote that they're contained in, back then they were a very accepted type of building material. Okay,
so now that took you where?
Well, you know, we've always been a recycling kind of family. We were scrap metal recyclers for many, many years before that, and actually I still do that today.
Your family were kind of ahead of the times in the recycling idea, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We were Greens before the Green Party actually come into existence. The Green Party started in 1968, but obviously my family goes back 4 generations. My great-grandfather actually sailed from Britain all the way around the Cape of Good Horn in South America and up the west coast of the Americas and into the Fraser Estuary and up the river into Agassiz, where they actually settled. And there's a big standing joke in the family that why couldn't they have settled in Shaughnessy? You know, it would have been so much wealthier if they had picked that location instead. But
would it change your whole history?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd probably be driving something fancier than I am now, but you know, that's okay. We're a happy family, and
nice.
Things are good.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so now personally, like in your home life, what do you do when it comes to recycling?
Well, we recycle everything. Very rare that we ever even put out a bag of trash on Wednesdays when they come around to pick up the garbage. We'll have 3 or 4 containers of recycled material. But, you know, where our goal is, and even with the Green Party actually, is zero waste. So we compost everything. And as a matter of fact, I compost probably like a 45-gallon drum of topsoil every year. So I keep expanding my potato garden with the compostings from the recycling. Yeah. When we purchase our meat, there's some great retailers here in Chilliwack, Fraser Valley Meats, for example, where you can buy meat products that aren't all wrapped in styrofoam and plastic and that stuff, and the old style where they just wrapped it in paper and a little bit of glue and put it together, so that we even compost or recycle the wrappings off the packaging for the meat. So there's nothing that we don't recycle. I believe that even the city of Chilliwack are going to start composting bins, so that you'll be able to take your vegetables, you know, peelings and what have you, and put them into a compost bin, so that even, I think the goal of our province actually is to go to zero waste. If, you know, it's going to take us a bit longer to get there, but you know, there's no reason. My philosophy in life is, you know, if you can't reuse it or recycle it, then don't buy it, right?
Yeah,
and,
that's true.
And then you don't have to worry about it. So,
like, it's so curious because when you go buy something that's in a blister pack, you have a tiny item in, like, it's wrapped in a blister pack, and then that's covered with something else, and you know?
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, even when you go buy like a screwdriver or something, why do you have to wrap a screwdriver in a blister pack? You know, you could have like a barrel of screwdrivers or a barrel of hammers or whatever, and that's the way we used to do it in the old days. But I think because of the fact that everything has to have a barcode on it, that it's easier to put it into one of those blister packs instead of just putting the barcode on the actual tool, which I would most likely prefer, is to, you know, not have the blister packs and just put the barcode on the tool itself, and you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Sure.
But there's way too much plastic waste. I mean, all you have to do is look at, we have rivers of plastic in places like third world countries in South America and what have you. So it's just not the way to do things anymore.
No, I agree. Well, we're going to get into it more. We're just going to take a quick break, okay? We'll be right back.
I wanna know all about you, your life's a story.
Well, welcome back. I'm with Arthur Green, and we're talking about recycling. And you had some really great information. One of the things you talked about is how much plastic there is in the oceans. And, you know, every once in a while I see on Facebook somebody trying to rescue a turtle that's all wrapped up, or, you know, some other sea creature. It is really sad what we're doing.
It is very sad, but I do have a pleasant surprise for you, and I did bring you some chocolate.
Oh! Chocolate! Hey, I scored chocolate, people. You're my favorite guest.
That wrapping is recyclable.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Because I find it, I have to say, I find recycling confusing sometimes.
Right. The problem that we do have with recycling is that a lot of products are cross-contaminated because of the fact they use two different types of material in one packaging. So that's a problem as well. Yeah.
So how do we get things to change?
Well, you know what? It's like everything else. It all comes down to money. So if we just quit buying the products that aren't recyclable or that you can't reuse again, then we won't have that problem, because as soon as those companies realize that people quit buying their products, then they'll change their packaging. And I think that's the real solution.
That's the real solution.
I think education is that we have to, you know, teach ourselves how to, what to buy and what not to buy. And a lot of people are not really informed, because we haven't really educated our population about, you know, recycling. We're more interested in teaching them how to consume and buy our products instead of, you know, what's the healthier version to.
Yeah. Well, what do you say about, you know, there are leaders that claim that there's not, you know, the environment isn't changing, we don't need these drastic changes, and because it's not affecting the world. How do you cope with something like that?
Well, coping with deniers is a real problem. I mean, you know, we, especially in the Green Party, we go out of our way to try and educate people of what to do and what, you know, what they should be doing. You know, again, it's what we as consumers, you know, there was a survey that went out that how many people believed that climate change was real, and it was like 80% believed that it was real. And then they asked, how much would you be willing to spend to you know, correct that problem? And the average response was less than $100. So, you know, we're not really going to get ahead that way until we take the, you know, make the monetary value less than what the human value is. And that's a problem too with our governments and the way that they, you know, signify our gross domestic product and whatnot, is that they don't take into account what, you know, good lifestyle and happiness, and, you know, that, to me, that has a value as well. It can't be all just about money all the time, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So now let's just get back to recycling for a little bit in the way of tips. Like, do you have any good tips for people? We know about, you know, not buying the packaging. If you're not going to recycle it, don't buy it. And there's nothing on this packaging that I can see that says you can recycle it.
Right.
You know, because if I look at this, I would think it's not. My first thought is, oh, this is probably not recyclable.
Right.
Only because I'm used to recycling paper, cardboard, plastics for sure. But what do you consider this? You know, it's more like an aluminum type of product.
Right. But it's all those products are recyclable. But the problem is that if you try to recycle them with like normal type of paper, then you've cross-contaminated your recycling. So then it's makes it difficult for the people that actually have to work with it.
Because then you're going to need another whole container just for this type of
Exactly, yeah.
Product.
Yeah, it has to be kept separate. But if you notice in our recycling programs in our towns and cities, like we have blue boxes, and we cross-contaminate everything. We put in paper and cardboard and metal, and everything can all go into the same blue box.
Right.
And then you see them throw them into the recycling truck, and they just dump it in. And I'm wondering, gee, does this stuff really get recycled? But I remember working on a movie once down in Surrey, that we were right beside a recycling place, and those big trucks would come in and they would dump this load, and they'd have 2 or 3 guys go through it, and they separated all this stuff.
Wow.
They looked like, it was absolutely incredible how fast they could move and separate all the different types of materials.
Yeah, right.
But I think that's probably the archaic way to go about it, and that we should just, in our homes and in our businesses, we should just have different containers for different types of recycling material.
Absolutely. Well, this has been totally fascinating. Once again, I appreciate you taking the time to come out. Thanks again for coming here. Especially thanks for the chocolate.